Hi, welcome to GoOrganic.com. My name is Jennifer Griffith, and I am one of many people in the United States, which is an ever-growing population, who suffer with multiple chemical sensitivities. I used to teach high school chemistry, ironically, as well as work as an athletic trainer, and I also had a business for 6 years. So I was a very busy person with a vibrant life, so it seemed. But on the inside, I struggled. Like, I had migraines, but I would work through them. There were some days where I couldn't get out of bed. When I would get home, I would collapse. Many people didn't know the fight that was going on inside of me. And I did not know that there was a cause for why I didn't feel well. I just knew I didn't. My history is long, and I won't go into all of the details, but I believe that this started when I was young because I remember being unable to be around my father's cigarette smoke. And it caused great harm to my body in the respect that I would get sick all the time with strep throat. And therefore, I lived on antibiotics up until I'd say 31 years of my life. And at age 31, I was at a critical point. I had been going to an allergist and was taking the medications that he recommended and also getting the shots, and I was going downhill fast. There was no improvement. In fact, there was the downward spiral. A neighbor of mine recommended a friend who was doing an alternative treatment for allergies. And when I started going through those treatments, I finally started realizing what feeling good felt like. Even though I played sports and even though I biked to work 25 miles round trip frequently, I never felt really well. So when that was, went through those treatments, that began my search for what's the cause, etc. Now, it's been a journey because that was when I was 31. I am 1 or 2 days shy of 51. I actually didn't even think that I would make it this long because there were times where I was in near-death experiences even after age 31. I call these like my tilting points. And one of the first critical tilting point was when I had a mercury filling replaced, and all of a sudden my thyroid wasn't acting correctly, to say it mildly, and then all of a sudden my other organs started shutting down, and I was dealing with mercury toxicity. Now, had I been dealing with that all my life, it's very possible that I was dealing with low levels of mercury toxicity since I started getting mercury fillings at age 11. And the reason why I say that is because I started getting unbearable migraines once I started getting the mercury fillings. So fast forward, I went to Tijuana, Mexico to an amazing clinic and had my mercury fillings removed and went through 6 days of IV chelation. After that, I felt fantastic. Before I had my mercury fillings removed, I couldn't ski. I was living in the mountains at the time, and I couldn't ski 2 runs taking the chairlift up. After I got my mercury fillings removed, I was actually hiking up the mountain with the skis on my back to ski down. So that was huge improvement in my health. 3.5 years later, I get a knee injury. It's a work comp injury. It throws me into mainstream medicine. Long story short, I received an injection into my knee that had hidden in the patent 2 very toxic chemicals that in low doses in other people may not have caused problems, but in me, it took me 3.5 years to get back on my feet. Now, through this process, I now realize that these were my tilting points. Like, there had been a buildup of toxins in my body, and then all of a sudden it couldn't handle anymore. So these additional exposures, these tilting points, these injuries, chemical injuries, were what tilted me over to a point of not being able to function. So it was during those times of not being able to function that I spent a lot of time researching this, and I realized that there was a term that was applied to people like me: multiple chemical sensitivity or chemical intolerance. or environmental illness. And to be honest, when I used to hear about environmental illnesses back in the 90s, I thought those people were crazy. Well, guess what? I am now one of the people that some people think are crazy. But you know what? Because I recognized that it was the toxic exposure that caused my illness, that is what enabled me to start the process of healing. And I meet people today who deal with multiple chemical sensitivities, and they're living in their car, or they can't find a place to live because their environment makes them sick. So I have discovered a routine that works for me. Whether it works for you or not, I don't know. But all I know is that I discovered a routine that has worked for me, has allowed me to thrive after being on the floor of near death multiple times. And so my blog is here to encourage you to reduce your toxic burden, because it's the exposure that causes the problem, and to realize that the cure is in the cause. So if you stay tuned with me, I'm going to share some tips on what helped me get to a level where I can thrive again. And I encourage you to take the first step and go organic. That was the very first step that I took. So stay tuned, log in, subscribe to my blog, because I am here to share what has helped me going from barely surviving to thriving. Bye.